Hey everyone, how are we doing? I'm Alyssa. I also go by Lyss or Alsira, whichever's okay. If you see me looking down here, that's because my phone is right here. For this video, we will be talking about the buzz behind the book Shy Girl by Mia Ballard. I learned about this book through a video from Frankie's Shelf. I like his channel, but that doesn't matter. I've also seen this book in a few circles and content creator posts, like maybe before them. I just never really would pay attention because it looks so much like the other literary fiction books, so I just didn't really pay much attention. I didn't think much of it until Frankie's video. And even before that video, never showed much interest in wanting to read the book. It has a cute cover, dog. We will get into that a little later on. It wasn't until recent weeks when the book itself was pulled from publication over AI allegations, and I'm like, whoa, okay, shit got serious. Before we continue, a little intro and some disclaimers. As I've said before, I am Alyssa, 27 years old, and I live in New York, born and raised. I have a BA in English, concentrating in creative writing, as well as a minor in film video studies. I also have an MFA in creative writing. I have self-published 2 poetry books, Kaleidoscope and Death Throes, both available via Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Despite these accolades, I am not an expert on the English language, English literature, the craft of writing, nor the craft of film production. Do not harass anyone mentioned in this video. If I have misrepresented any information in this video, please correct me in the comments down below. My comments are open to discussion. We are respectful, not assholes. If I see any unnecessary name-calling or arguments, I will be deleting comments. With that being said, let's get on with the video. And before I head on, I will mention a little bit about mental health struggles, self-destructive behaviors, and misogynoir, racism, and sexism. Just to put that out there. Let me say this. I have not read Shy Girl by Mia Ballard. As I said before, no interest in reading the book. So why am I making this video? Probably because the backlash this book has received was so severe that it caused the author to check herself into a mental health facility. What are we doing? Here is a summary of Shy Girl, a revenge horror novel about a woman named Gia who enters a transactional relationship with a wealthy man Nathan to escape debt, but finds herself in a nightmare of captivity where she must live as his pet. Not a kind of book I would read, but that's not important. What is important is what the book contained. Now, I've seen this book in several circles regarding sad girl lit or literary fiction or whatnot. I watched Frankie's video where he questioned if this book is written by AI, which is a big no-no to me. Should be a big no-no to everyone else. His video will be linked down below. That video is now 2 months old as of right now. Not much has really transpired until shortly before publication. The book was pulled from shelves, at least in the US. I heard that the UK already has it on the shelves, but they discontinued that. Not sure if other countries have it yet. The reason why it was pulled from shelves was due to AI allegations, and that much of the book was written by AI. I saw a lot of this on Threads, and I learned that the author herself has commented on Frankie's video, and rightly so. She was heartbroken by the review. There's a reason why we say reviews are for readers. Mia has a right to comment her opinion, but not to influence a reviewer's opinion. Here's a comment I got from Threads. I apologize for the quality. I tried looking for this through my iPad and phone, but it is buried in there. I wish YouTube would let us pin more than one comment like Instagram does, but whatever. Hello, Frankie. This is generally heartbreaking to write because I've been a fan of your channel for a long time, but I need to clarify a few things. I did not edit or format Shy Girl myself. At the time, I didn't have the money for a professional editor or formatter. Those services are expensive, and I was working on a broken laptop doing the best I could with what I had. Someone in my writing group offered to help and assured me she'd do a thorough job, so I trusted her. In the process, she also changed a lot of the wording and encouraged me to lean more poetic because that's my background, and I listened. I should have had one final careful pass before publishing, and that's on me.
but the formatting and editing issues being pointed out are not present in the traditionally published edition. Most importantly, I did not use AI to write this book. What I can say is that the version you're referencing was edited by someone else, and I only later realized that she may have run parts of it through an AI tool during the editing process. When my first book, Sugar, was edited by someone different, I never received these AI allegations. The accusations started after I used this same person for my novella, which I've since pulled, and for early versions of Shy Girl. I'm not able to watch the rest of the video for my mental health, but I needed you to hear this directly. Being a black woman in a publishing space has been exhausting. I get attacked constantly when all I'm trying to do is write. Mia. So there's a lot going on here, and I commend the author for admitting her fault, which is not giving her manuscript one final pass, and going more in depth about what happened from her perspective. I get the struggle to being an indie author and not having the funds you need for an editor and whatnot. That's why I took upon myself to self-edit my work before I send it to an editor for a third-party perspective. I know. Don't edit your own work. Shut up, okay? I will say Mia should have been more careful about who she sends her work to, so we don't end up in a situation like this. And she should have been more thorough and more hands-on with her own project. She does point out that the Shy Girl Frankie was reading from was a different version than the one that her acquaintance has edited. So, what's going on there? Who edited that? Who had a hand in that? Was it the publisher Hachette? Or their imprint run for it? Was it someone that the editor knows? Who edited this? We need answers. As a writer who's about to publish her own book, should you be, eyes wide open to your own work? You did not want to see me when I was about to publish my first 2 books, because I was a ticking time bomb, and even then, there were mistakes that I took it upon myself to correct. I've hired editors to read Z. My parents covered those costs. I hired copy editors since I was publishing poetry, and what editors do is not change the manuscript themselves, but they offer suggestions. They'll say, "This doesn't sound right. How about this or that?" It's up to the writer to either accept those changes or not. That's what an editor does, and I believe developmental editors do that too. I've only worked with copy editors, haven't worked with any other line editors or developmental editors. They did not run it through an AI generator and rewrite the entire manuscript. That's not what happens, but it happened for this book. I cannot imagine what Mia is going through. I'm fortunate that she shocked herself in for her mental health, rather than not take care of herself. She's also taken legal action against this editor who practically threw her on the bus, and I want to talk about that. Shouldn't the publisher already look at the manuscript and be like, something's up? This entire controversy centered on the author herself, but not everyone else involved. Hachette isn't under fire, Orbit isn't under fire, the editor isn't under fire, the person who edited whatever version Frankie was reading isn't under fire. All of this is centered on the author, and I don't think that's fair. I am not a black woman, so I cannot talk about my experience as a black woman because I'm not a black woman. Mia Ballard, however, is a black woman, and she faces a more concentrated intersection of discrimination, misogynoir. This is racism and sexism against black women, and it's not often spoken about outside of the black community. I did not write this section to speak over black women. I'm writing this section to bring this issue to light, and I'm not the right person to talk about this. I will be linking videos below that are talking about this, and hopefully they go into depth about this section. No matter the field, black women are held at a higher standard of morality than their white counterparts, or even people of color counterparts. White women love to talk about misogyny and sexism until they have to include race, because that would mean they have to admit their own faults and biases. Same thing with women of color, who aren't black. You'd be very surprised at how deep racism and anti-black sentiments go in various communities, and also colorism. That's like a different layer of discrimination. Here's one thing to remember: black women are not a monolith. They are human beings with their own faults and nuances, and they shouldn't be treated any differently based on their appearance, background, and/or profession. This entire controversy has become an excuse for some people to spew their hate on black women, and look at what it's done. The author has checked herself into a mental health facility. I did not want that last part to sound like I'm shaming Mia for taking care of herself. That last part is for people who made her feel like shit for this controversy. And the people who set it up, like the editor. Also want to point out that the main character of Shy Girl, Gia, yeah, I know, is also a black woman with OCD, just like Mia Ballard. So this can be taken as self-insert, and it could be seen as Mia working through her mental health problems with this book. Any self-hate that she might have, any challenges she might be going through. Writing can be therapeutic. I've done this several times. Read my poetry. It's right there. I will say, and I haven't read this book, but there is a conversation to be had regarding having a black character taking on a subservient role, acting as someone's pet, which I feel is counterproductive because how was not race an issue in this book? How did no one in the writing process of this book say, should you really write a book like this? You gotta remember, you're not just writing for yourself or publishing for yourself, you're publishing to the world. People are gonna spit it out or shit it out, and not everyone's gonna understand where you're coming from. I don't know if I explained this section properly or made it worse. Again, comments are open to discussion. Now, Mia Ballard was not the first black woman to be facing heat over her book. Earlier this year, H.M. Wolf was met with criticism over the fact that her book Daggermouth may have also been written by AI. Daggermouth is about an assassin who's forced into a marriage with a military tyrant. I think that's a summary. It has a pretty cool cover. I believe there was a bit of romance and spice, so of course I'm not really interested in that. Compared to Ballard, Wolf did not meet as much backlash as she did with her book. I did read a preview of Daggermouth. It doesn't come up as AI. I feel like the whole AI witch hunt is getting into our heads a little too deep, that everything feels untrustworthy. I'm not an expert in detecting AI, especially in literature. I would advise that if you feel the book you're reading may have been AI generated, I would look into other works of that writer and see for myself. It's all about finding patterns, finding a style, and their writer's opinion on AI. We do use AI, but it's a system AI. Most common form, spell check, which used to be really smart until recent years. These two controversies feel like trying to find a scapegoat, and because black women face a lot of discrimination and possibly be seen as resilient, but are we forgetting the fact that black women are human beings with feelings and minds of their own? Plus, how about the people responsible in this project? What about the editor? If you're someone who doesn't see color or doesn't see why this controversy even matters, especially when race and gender are involved, might that introduce you to James Frey, a white man who openly admitted to using AI for his book and fabricating his memoir, as someone who gets a slap off the wrist? Let's not forget Oprah. Or Ria Kudon, I believe her name is, who used ChatGPT to write 5% of her novel, Sympathy Tokyo Tower. I didn't even know about her. And lest we forget, in terms of throwing editors under the bus, Marla Winter. I need not say more. Also, staying on the topic of AI and its pervasiveness in modern literature, I've been seeing info posts on detecting AI, and the majority of examples scare me, because that's how I write. I've been writing like that since high school, and the only way AI would have gotten that is from people who write like that. So it's on the writer now to change how they write and what they can write. And listen, I do this with emails and business stuff. I don't want to change. I'm so used to it. I don't even think about it. If you know me, you know that I hate AI, generative AI. It's yuck. I will change the way I write my emails. Shy Girl cover. I promise I would talk about this later on, and I may have gotten carried away with my hate on AI. My sincerest apologies, but this might be a very tiny section yet. It's still worth talking about. Dog. I do like my doggies. I thought it was a cute cover, and it's pointing out that this cover was taken from this painting by Win Lewis without the artist's consent. Mia was the one who found it on Pinterest and was like, okay, this is cool, I like it, this is my cover. Mia took care of that and compensated the artist after the fact. And it's a very small issue compared to the rest of this video, but it's important in terms of cross-media and crediting people. You should always seek out the source and ask for consent. Work out the details. Every little bit counts.
While I was scouring the comments on Frankie's video regarding Shy Girl, looking for Mia Bello's comment to get like a much clearer quality of that comment, I did see a comment from someone who was, I think was part of Mia's writing group or something. I don't know. I'll find the comment. And she said how when it was pointed out to Mia that the artwork was copyrighted, they were, it took a long time for Mia to actually follow through with, compensating the artist and crediting her and everything. And, that just shows kind of like the author's opinion to copyrighted works. And, it just changes how, it just adds more nuance, more layers to this whole AI controversy regarding her book. Because if you're not willing to, credit someone else's work to use for your, to use to represent your work, then how can the same be said about your actual book was actually written there? You get what I'm saying?
I hope Mia gets the help that she needs and gets the justice that she deserves, because this was your big moment, and some dumbass was like, yeah, let me fuck that up. What the hell? I do hope that her career is not overshadowed by this and takes a closer eye to her own work, even after it's been edited and rewritten several times. Those are definite lessons I have learned from my first two books. I also learned that we as a community need to learn not to be so reactive and explosive when allegations like these come out. AI may be progressing faster than we can blink, but we have the soul that AI can never replicate. We are allowed to make mistakes, and when those mistakes are pointed out, we should be civil about it, not assholes. If you reach this far, please comment a dog emoji. I would love to hear your opinions. Be sure to buy my books, Kaleidoscope and Death Throes, via Amazon or Barnes & Noble. Everything to support me is in my link tree. If you have a topic you'd like me to talk about, please comment below. I do reserve the right not to talk about a topic. If you'd like to commission art from me, please do so via Ko-Fi. Make sure to hydrate and be safe. Bye!